Go.
I don't cry when it rains no more, or I get dirt on my shoes. I don't mind climbing 8 more floors, 'cause these stairs are all heading to you. I don't wait for tomorrow's sunshine when I feel it today. But when it's cold in the dead of winter, remember that snow melts away. One more cold drink, one more roll, one more dance for the doors get closed. Please remember, enjoy the show. Let's get happy before we get old. We don't need plans or a fancy agenda. Well, let's just see where it goes. We got no care for the way people stare at the dust and the dirt on our clothes. Hey, my friend, we'll never say
Hey, everybody, come on into the Cajun cooking experience. This is Buddy here. And you know, we got another one of those dishes tonight. I've been having an envie for something. I've eaten a lot of pastalaya, and I've cooked a lot of pastalaya in my life. I've gotten my mind to put some ground meat in it with my smoked meat. I don't know why, what made me want to do that. I have no idea, but I have to try it. First time I've ever tried it, I have no idea if it's going to be good or not. I know it will. So I figured, why not try it on live around the world? That's the way you got to roll. You got to live with a little excitement in your life. What you say, Lucy? So tonight we're going to start off. We're going to make this pasta live. We're going to start off with some onions. And the ground meat I have tonight is not just regular ground meat. If you've been watching me a long time, you know I like my deer sausage. I like to take deer meat, mix it with pork, and then go ahead and save it as ground meat, seasoned, ready to go. Oh, Pootie, what's happening? To me, I can make my sausage. I can have some smoked deer sausage. I can have some fresh deer sausage. Smoked one you can cook with. You can do a lot of things with. If I had smoked deer sausage, it'd be in this pasta live. But the fresh deer sausage, unless you're making fresh sausage, it's limited. And I definitely have some because it's good, but the ground meat just gives you so many dishes. Oh, Dr. John Baptiste, he finally got it to work. All right. Man, you need some young minds for this high-tech stuff, you know? Oh, Roy, what's happening? So now we're just going to go ahead and start smothering these onions down, then I'll be bringing my smoked meat in pretty soon. You know, I got to make my little gravy. I got to get my little gravy going to get my color, get my natural color in here. Now, something about pastalaya. You know, this is a dish that hasn't been around a long time. Maybe looking at old newspapers, the first time it hit newspapers around 1990. So I went in business in 93. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was just starting to hear about pastalaya. It wasn't real popular. Now, claim that, look, this is the folklore behind it, right? How did we invent pastalaya? Who knows? To me, somebody just said one day, let me just try pasta instead of rice. But the folklore is they had a chef, and he was cooking, and he was making a jambalaya. He looked around, he was out of rice. Now, that's a bad chef that he was cooking for a group of people. But he said he just threw pasta in. Everybody liked it, and supposedly that's how he got started. Just as good of a story as any. Now, one thing about it, people always want to learn how to cook jambalaya. And I'm not talking about cooking jambalaya with that Uncle Ben's, you know, that parboiled rice. I'm talking about cooking jambalaya where you put the rice in the raw rice and where it's got to pop grain for grain. And I always tell them, start with a pastalaya first. Pastalaya is going to forgive you. Because it's tougher than rice. So it won't get mushy as fast, and you can add a little water and soften it up if you miss it. But rice, if you miss it, you missed it. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. Onions are looking good now. I'm going to go ahead and bring my smoked meat in. This is going to start help building my gravy, okay? And then we're going to bring in, oh, Ben, what's happening? From Biloxi. And tonight, so what made me think of this too, cooking this tonight, you know, we had this tropical depression out there, Big Bertha. And I'm thinking, you know, this is the time of the year when you start cleaning out your freezer. So let me start getting as much stuff out my freezer as I can in case we lose electricity. Hopefully we don't see a storm, but if we do, I'm ready for it. And so the ingredients I'm using today is all coming out of my freezer. I'm starting to clean out that freezer, okay? What you say, Rocky, better known as Dale Wagon Stack. All right, just smothering this down right here. This is how we're gonna start building our gravy. Now, if I didn't have any good Andouille, I had the Spudman Andouille, Spudman sausage, you can make this with just the deer meat. Make it with some chicken and deer meat. Make it with some pork. The one thing I don't have tonight, a lot of times when I'm cooking pastalaya or jambalaya, I'll have pork in it, okay? Well, tonight, I'm not putting pork because I have a lot of meat. So you can cube up cube up some little cubes of pork. I wouldn't use pork loin, but Boston butt's good. If you can get you some cushion meat, that's good. Get you some shank. I mean, you know, like off the ham, that's good. The pork loin tends to cook too fast, and to me, it just doesn't have the flavor as the other pieces of pork. Is it better to use cast iron or Magnolite? Better to use cast iron than Magnolite when making a pastalaya or a jambalaya. Because number one, the Magnolite is aluminum. It's just not going to work as good as that cast iron. Over here, I have stainless steel pot. And we was cooking, we had our, this is why we wasn't here last week. I had my Cajun cooking experience. I had a group in here. And one of the questions was, because I had 3 black iron pots. One of the questions was, can I cook that jambalaya in a you know, do I have to use cast iron? And I said, no, you can use stainless steel with a thick bottom. It'll work almost as good. It's pretty darn close. I'd rather my cast iron, but when I'm doing this live cooking show, this looks better. You can see in the pot better. This is what I like. Okay. And, my camera's off a little bit. There you go. But you can see inside the pot. Okay. You see that? You see right here? We're starting to get a little brown at the bottom of this pot. This is going to start building our gravy. This is where your cast iron pot comes in really good. When you're trying to build that gravy and you get that little stick at the bottom of the pot, cast iron just does a great job with this. And another advantage a cast iron has over, let's say, a Magnolite is cast iron's going to distribute that heat evenly. And it's going to stay hot. So you can actually start lowering your fire once you get this pot hot with cast iron. And of course, I've got my stock tonight. My chicken and beef stock. I always like to have a little beef stock in my pastalayas and jambalayas. Just gives it that, not that, a hearty taste. Okay. And that's gonna start helping build our gravy. Oh, Hollywood. What's happening, Wood? What the Saints gonna do this year, buddy? Last year your prediction was bad. Oh, Lance. Oh man, I feel so bad for y'all, man. I'm cooking pastalaya and Lance over that ball of crab. I bring that pot of pastalaya over there. Pastalaya and crab go real good together. Okay. Now we're just gonna keep on working this. Now, Jordan Melinda, what's happening? What's up? It's all good. 10-7. Hollywood, they're gonna be in the playoffs this year. Don't forget, you heard it first. Heard it here first. All right. If you could see down in that pot, let me go down in that pot again. You're gonna see this. The juices are already starting to get brown, okay? There you go. There's our gravy starting to build. I have to keep moving this towel around. The one bad thing about this pot, this fire comes around this pot and it gets hot. So we're using pasta tonight, but you know, the pastas came here a long time ago. The Italians were famous for having pasta coming from Sicily. And the pasta, the name spaghetto, which means little cord. That's the name, the Italian name for it. Oh, David, what's happening? Cooking a little pastalaya, brother. We're doing it a little different tonight, though. And every time I do that, I get that stock, I'm giving this pot a little loving. That's what counts. But spaghetti as we know it probably introduced to Sicily probably around the 8th century by Arab conquerors, believe it or not. Oh, man. One thing about here, it's smelling good, and the smell's still going to be here tomorrow. When I had that Cajun cooking experience last week, we cooked the gumbo, pastalaya, and I can't remember the other dish we cooked. The smell stayed in here for 3 days. Number one, that root smell is hard to get rid of. Hollywood division champs. All right, I'll go with that, brother. Me and you thinking the same. Now, don't get mad if they don't make it, Wood. Joy, I'd rather have a jambalaya probably because that's all I make as requested. You know, so here's the thing when I first went into business. I remember this. One time, and if you see it in old newspaper, you see it, you go back and look in newspapers. About the early 90s, you start seeing pastalaya come in. 95 to about 2005, a 10-year period, you see a spike in articles. Man, they were writing about pastalaya more than they were writing about jambalaya. It became a hot thing all over, especially in the river parishes, but all over the United States. And then all of a sudden, you saw it die. You have very few articles written about pastalaya anymore. And I noticed that when it became a hot thing, everybody wanted pastalaya. So every now and then, I'd cook it for a plate lunch. Well, you know, after a while, had pastalaya on the menu, you had small crowds, people that were burned out on it. They didn't like it, and they would say, I'd rather jambalaya. Because why? Because we're big rice eaters out here. That's why, Joy. Because everybody out here, big rice eaters. I'm a big pasta eater. That's why I like it. And when I try to teach people how to cook a jambalaya, I'll try to get them to do a pastalaya first. Unless they're with me, this is going to show them all the steps so that they can make that next step up. I'd rather make it with the penne pasta. Well, Joy, we just happen to be in luck. Penne pasta. That's what we're making it with tonight. And I'll talk more about that later. I can see that theme from Thibodeau. You got that right, Hollywood. Okay. The two kind of pastas I like, of course, I like the straight one, and that's cool. But I also like the rotini, and then, of course, the penne pasta. I like both of those. But probably out of all of them, the penne is going to be my favorite. Now, pasta is made from durum wheat. Why? It's because durum wheat's high in protein and it has a strong gluten content. This is why you can do things like this. You can make little tubes with it. You can make little bow ties with it. You can make all these designs, eggshell, whatever, because that high protein and the high gluten content is going to make it stiffer. It's going to give it a coarser texture so that not only will it absorb juices real good, tomato sauce real good, but also you can make some designs and it won't fall apart. More surface area for more flavor. That's it. More surface area for more flavor. Okay. Bring a little more loving in this pot. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring me some mushrooms in. Again, mushrooms is optional. And I always have one of my daughters tell me, why you got to put mushrooms? Because I like it. And she tells me she doesn't like it. I said, but don't eat the pastalaya. Now, when I cook for a crowd, I have to ask. Or if we're cooking for a big crowd, I will not use mushrooms. I'll talk about it, but I will not. Hey, Lauren. Okay. Oh, Lord. I'm about ready to make me a sandwich with this right here. We haven't even got to the ground meat yet. Talking gluten, I can't eat it. Rocky. Nothing's bad for you in moderation. Remember that, Rocky. That comes from my grandpa. He lived in 92, so I'm going to take his word for it. And also, one of the things that the durum wheat does, because of that texture it has, it stops the pasta from being mushy. One of the things most of the time, except I find in this area, people normally eat pasta al dente. A little stiff, a little toughness to it. That's the way I like it. When I cooked it for my lunches, I had to ball it hard. I had to really make it soft. But that al dente cooking would actually helps that pasta hold its shape, and you can do that because of all the glutens and the proteins. All right. Now I've got my onions nice and brown. And one of the things, long bread time, my daddy would say, I remember mama saying, boy, go get a long bread. I remember that, Joey. I heard that in a long time. So the one thing about cooking is the andouille and sausage down is when you fry that thing down, it gives a totally different taste. And I really believe if you don't do that in your jambalaya, you're missing out on a lot of flavor, okay? All right. I'm going to bring that dry meat in now. That deer sausage, like I say. And I have to switch spoons. I got to start chopping this stuff up. What happens when you vacuum pack it? It packs up in that bag, and then the fats in that pork all bind together. All right. I can't wait to taste this because I've never done this before. Putting the loose ground meat in a pastalaya. Oh, Tim. All right. Y'all excuse me while I go to work here. Now, one thing about the durum wheat, it's healthier than the other wheat. So when you get the wheat that you grind real fine, all the other wheats they have on the market, the durum wheat is going to be healthier. What did I just say? It's higher in protein, but also for people who are have to watch their sugar and all, it's lower in the glycemic index than other pastas. So that's a good thing. The pasta is going to be better for you maybe than rice, okay? Oh, Brenda, I won't regret it. All right. I just keep working this down. I'm going to drop that camera in. I think you're right, Brenda. I won't regret it. I've been thinking about it for a long time. And tonight I pulled the trigger. Okay. Now we just start letting this deer meat cook down. And one thing about the durum wheat, when you make your pasta, it's denser, so it holds its shape. But also, if you cook it al dente, it slows down the digestion. It's another good thing for your blood sugars. And it make you feel fuller than, like I say, a rice. I can eat rice all day and never fill up. All right. Now you just got to keep working this ground meat. Unfortunately, you got to keep beating the hell out of it to break it down. Now, the group we had last week, we had 3 people up here cooking. And let me tell you, I know what the other one was cooking. We took and she would fry down all the meats. So one was cooking the gumbo, making the roux and all. One was frying down all the meat for the gumbo. So that when we put that meat in the gumbo, the andouille and the sausage and the chicken, it had that little fry, that little pot fry to it. Man, that makes a gumbo so much better. Right. How about that French bread and make a sandwich? Boy, you got that right there, brother. Okay, I'm gonna drop down on this pot. You're gonna be able to see the ground meat. Okay, this deer sausage is starting to throw the water out. You see the gravy is real brown. This is a good, this is nothing but, man, this is nothing but flavor in that pot. And one thing about it, if you want a lot of flavor in your dish, it's gonna take a little time. Take your time to cook these dishes. If you don't feel like taking your time, you know what? Open you up a can of SpaghettiOs. I don't know what to tell you, but take your time when you're doing this. It's gonna create a better tasting dish and a healthier dish. And some people, like we're in rice country, so everybody really, really loves rice dishes. I'm just the opposite. I'm not crazy about rice. I'll eat it, like it, but I can eat like beans without rice. I can eat gumbo without rice. But you give me pasta, I make a pig of myself. Oh, might as well make an introduction here. Oh, man. Now we've got our meat halfway cooked. I'm gonna bring in my bell peppers, all the different colors. And these come from my buddy Bonnie Dufresne and so the pepper called Mahoney. Make tons of them. He's got like, I can't remember how many bushes he has, but he's making tons of these peppers. They're about this long and only about this big around. But boy, they're good. It's a green bell pepper, actually with a little sweet taste to it. And I think what makes it so good, it's got a thin wall on it. Really, really good if you want to cut up, if you like bell peppers cut up in your salad. Well, I'm starting to catch my towel on fire already. Happens every time I use this pot. Now, pasta can be traced back definitely as far as the 4th century BC. And they went into some tombs. And what they found the drawings in the tombs and all that. And it showed what appeared that the natives were making, a group of natives making what appeared to be pasta. That is the closest they can come to finding, dating pasta, how far back they can date pasta. However, they really believe that the Chinese were making something like a noodle as far back as 3000 BC. So this has been around a long time. And that makes sense because, you know, they're traveling across deserts, they're traveling across continents. They need stuff that won't rot. They can put that in their bags, that they can have to eat and it'll never rot. It won't spoil. Oh, hell yeah. Now I have to watch when I go, hey, say, Melissa, I have to watch when I go to season this because this deer sausage is already seasoned. So I have to be really, really careful. Oh, there went one of my mushrooms. I hate to let them slide. So give y'all a little Greek mythology. The Greek god Vulcan invented a device that made strings of dough, the first spaghetti. So the Vulcan god was the one that made spaghetti. Greek mythology. And you know the Greeks, they had gods for everything. Now, I gotta take these glasses off. This ain't gonna work. My glasses are fogging up in here. Now I can't read the comments. All right, that's not gonna work. My glasses are fogging up bad. Now, one thing about in New Orleans was very, very like a pasta mega back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. We had a lot of spaghetti factories in New Orleans. The Sicilians were the ones that were bringing it to New Orleans. Now, they're not the first ones to bring it to the United States, but they were bringing it into New Orleans. And what the government did around 1897, they put a tariff on pastas. They also put a tariff. The Sicilians were also bringing in lemons, which they needed to make citric acid when they were canned and stuff. Well, they put a tariff on the lemons too. Everything Sicilians were bringing in, they were putting tariffs. Because I remember the lemons, California said, hey, we make lemons also. So they put a tariff, and then it would cost too much to import them. Same thing happened with the pasta. So they started making their own. They just started, because they doubled the cost of bringing in the pasta from Sicily. So they just started making their own. Eventually lead to all the pasta factories that they had. But it was actually a French immigrant in 1848. His name was Antoine Zegler. And he opened the first pasta factory in the United States on the Brooklyn waterfront. So going back to around 1848, he would open the first factory, the first official factory, okay? And that's not saying people weren't making it, but that's your first documentation of having a factory. And then what he would do, he would make the strands of pasta and he'd go and put them on his roof. Because what these do is they put stands and wrap it around the stands. And then they would put it on the roof and let the sunshine, would dry by sunshine. Now I can imagine today, if I made some pasta and I went put some sawhorses on the roof and strung the pasta across so it could dry by the sun. Bet you that would go real good with the Board of Health these days. But this is how things were done back then, okay? Then they have, in 1867, there was a German immigrant. His name was Christian Mueller. He went around selling pasta door to door. So pasta was becoming a very popular product. And Thomas Jefferson had a lot to do with that. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Ooh. But in 1830s, around the early 1830s, there was a Spaniard. And you gotta remember, one time, Orleans territory, New Orleans and all Orleans territory was ruled by Spain. But it had a Spaniard, his name was Francisco Sambola. And he established a wheat and macaroni factory on Decatur Street in the French Quarter. So he was one of the first ones. Well, Kevin, live from New York, brother. Go ahead, Kevin. Oh, now I'm cooking. All my water's just about cooked out of the deer sausage. Oh, yes, indeed. I'm gonna bring a little bit of shallots in. And the way he would make his pasta, he had a machine that he used. And the machine, what he did, he mimicked it after like a wine press. And he had a wooden screw that went through it, and it was made out of cedar. And the power source was horses. He would have horses go ahead and pull a winch, and then it would turn heavy wooden blocks. And the force, and this forced down the dense wheat, the dough, and then went through some brass or iron extrusion plates, and that made the pasta. First, really, I guess, pasta factory. But it was basically manual. The manual part being pulled by horses, okay? Oh, Todd, what's happening? Thank you, brother. I love this history, man. But you see, it was the Spanish settlers that were the first to bring pasta to America. And then Thomas Jefferson, he used to be an ambassador overseas. I want to say maybe to Spain. So when he was out there, or to Italy, and he went out there and he drew. They had a pasta making machine, automated. So he went out there and he made some drawings of it, documented, and then came back and actually was instrumental in getting the first pasta machine over here. Now, I don't know if he actually had one shipped over or he had it built over here. I'm not sure. And he had all the instructions using that machine on making pasta. I would just say, Diane, what's happening, cuz? Oh, yep. Now we got to bring a little hot sauce. Yes, indeed. Now, you know, they got a lot of pasta companies we're familiar with when we were growing up or still in the market today. And they had a guy by the name of Leon Tujak. He was in New Orleans and he formed a partnership with two other non-Italian, two Italians from in 1914, and they formed the Southern Macaroni Company. And that brand eventually became luxury brand pasta. Started right here in New Orleans. Eventually, that was bought out by ConAgra Foods. And I believe we still can buy that brand of pasta today. Yeah, we got that tropical breeze blowing out there, George. Oh, hell yeah. Man, this is looking good. Bring a little bit more shallots in. Now I'm going to bring a little bit black pepper in here. A very little touch of salt. I don't need much. And y'all know we got to give the cane farmers a little loving. That sugar cane, I'm looking out the door and that sugar cane is blowing with that tropical breeze. That breeze was coming off the river. I walked on the levee by Oak Alley today, and that breeze was coming off the levee, and I had a friend of mine. He said, hey, watch when you get to Oak Alley, you're going to need a jacket. Because they always have a good breeze coming off the river. And it's been hot, so that really felt good. Then they had another company that actually started, a guy that had an Italian name, his last name was Cusimano. And he supposedly, he lent some money to a friend of his, Mr. Udo, that was just broke. 1908, he's penniless. He lends him a little money. And that fella right there eventually became the founder of what would become Progresso Foods. It goes back to that song, I get by with a little help from my friends. Now, I'm going to get a little taste. Time for the taste. There's almost time for the French bread. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, damn, this is going to be good. Now, one of the things have to be really careful of is when you season in your water before you put your pasta in. Hope he paid it back. I hope so too, David. Because I know y'all heard me tell the story many times. I was drinking out there at Oak Alley after we finished the job, and they said, hey, we need more Pastalaya. So I heard them cook the batch. Alcohol numbs you to your taste buds, okay? Not one beer, maybe 5 or 6 do. And we couldn't eat the batch. So be careful when you season it, and if in doubt, leave the pepper out. You can add a little hot sauce at the table, but leave the pepper out. One thing about pasta, it will suck up that pepper and they'll suck it up hard. And it's very sensitive to that. Okay. Now the water to the pasta ratio, I'm going to explain it a little bit. That gets a little tricky. Get ready. Get ready to take a dive in this pot though. We're going to take a look inside the pot. You can see that little gravy cooking right here. Yes, indeed. And that gravy is going to be the flavor that's going to go into your pasta. And this is the foundation. If you don't get this right, then it's hit and miss thing about if it's going to be good or not, okay? Well, Dino, what's happening, my brother? Oh, hell yeah. Ooh. Y'all know I got to make that sandwich. Now, the other day when we had our group here, and they came on a bus, what was fun, and this very seldom happens, but the bus driver came up and cooked. And I really like that because, you know, bus drivers with these people all week, so you build a relationship. And they get to see a lot of cool stuff. So I asked him, you know, when I said, look, you come in, man, you one of us, you make sure you come in here. And man, when he said, you want somebody to cook and nobody wanted to come up, he was the first one to raise his hand. His name was Preston. And let me tell you, he did a good job. I promise he's gonna be the #1 bus driver. Pastalaya football, you got that right, Darren. What's happening, my brother? Now, you know, I gotta let this thing cool off. It's like a little oven in here. Yeah? Show's over for tonight. I can make pull balls with this. Pull balls and wraps right here. Woo! In fact, I'm taking a little bit out because tomorrow morning for my breakfast, I will be having me a pastalaya wrap. All right, now my deer meat is cooked. My deer sausage is cooked. All my Andouille sausage well cooked down. All my seasons are well cooked down. Now I'm making this with 2 pounds of pasta. This is tricky. So we're gonna go ahead and add this in. I'm adding half a gallon of water. 2 pounds of pasta. I'm gonna use that as rice. Okay. I'm thinking 3 pounds of rice because if I'm cooking 3 pounds of rice, that same recipe can only take 2/3 of the pasta because pasta sucks up more water than rice. Okay. I know it sounds confusing, but if you don't do this, you're gonna have too much. You're gonna wind up with too much water for your pastalaya. So, if you have a little bit too much, the pasta is gonna forgive you. Especially this penne pasta, it's real thick wall. It has a lot of forgiveness in it. So I think this the whole way like I'm cooking a 3-pound jambalaya or 6-cup jambalaya. But when I go to put the pasta, I'm gonna put 2/3 of that. So I'm coming with 2 pounds of pasta. I know it's confusing, but that's the way my mind thinks it, and it's the way it works for me. All right, John. So if I'm thinking cups, that 3 pounds of rice is actually that 3 pounds of rice is actually 6 cups of rice. So then I would only use 4 cups of pasta, 2 pounds. Now I want to get it back to a boil. Once I get it to a boil, we're going to taste the water for seasoning. Remember, I need a little bit salty, a little bit piquant, not too much. I can add hot sauce to this dish after. Be careful with the pepper, I'm telling you, because this thing will come back to bite you. Smell-o-vision is on the way, John. Now, one of the things the reason why I put the sausage in it, and my deer sausage gives me this also, you need that like it's all Boston butt. The sausage has Boston butt in it. My deer sausage has Boston butt in it. What that does is give me a little fat content because if your meat's way too lean, that fat content, it's not gonna come out good. You need some fats in this pastalaya. Now, if you use any kind of sausage, whether it's deer sausage or smoked sausage or whatever, and they have a lot of fat in it, you're gonna get a very greasy dish, okay? Joy, the reason why you smell it in the reserve is because the wind's blowing it that way, that tropical breeze. Okay, it's almost done. You take a look in that pot. You see it's got some good color to it. And you see that water starting to move, so it's getting ready to boil. Oh, man, I can't wait to taste this because this is going to be good. I'm gonna get my first taste of it while we're waiting. Oh. I don't believe it's gonna need anything. It may need a little bit of salt, but not much. And it's important when you taste it, don't put any meat in it. You don't want to taste the seasoning in the meat. I want to taste the seasoning in the juice. That's how your pasta is going to taste. Damn it, what's happening, man? Do I deliver? Absolutely. One call, Spud Man Halls. Ooh. Ah, yes, indeed. It's got a little bite. It's got a little pico in it, so it's going to be good. I think I have enough salt in it. Remember, you don't want to overdo this. Once I get it back to a boil, then what I'm going to do, I cook this different than I cook my jambalaya, where I do 2-to-1, 2 water, 1 rice. And then I can bring it back to the boil and I cover it for 15 minutes. I'm going to keep boiling this until my pasta tastes a little al dente. I can't go too far with it. Once it gets a little al dente, I'll cover it and let that juice soak up. All right, here we go. Water's boiling. I'll bring y'all in the pot. And you want to stir it around if I can get them all out. All right. I've got a lot of meat in this pastalaya. Jambalaya and pastalaya is what I normally do. Like I've got way more meat than I need in this thing today. But a good formula is 1.5 meat to your rice or your pasta. Some people will go 2, and that's fine. It depends who you're cooking for. You know, if you're cooking for yourself, do double, do 2-to-1. If you cook it for money, cook it for profit, after you get 1.5 pounds, then you start getting to that price point where people are not going to pay for it. All right. It's getting hard to stir this pot. I'm going to add a little bit more water to this, and we'll start. All right. And I've cooked this so many times, I can tell I could use a little bit more water in it. A lot of times what I'll do, cooking jambalaya, cooking pastalaya, I'll put too much water, take some out. And as the water's cooking out, I'll add if I need to. That way, I call it my insurance jug right here. But you want to do that after you season the water. Over the years, I've just developed a lot of tricks to cook these dishes. Anybody that's cooked this for a long time, they have their own little tricks of how they do things. And you have to do you. Whatever works for you, that's what you do. That's what you have to do. Runaway piece of sausage. Now, somebody asked me one time, could you do this where you cook down some fresh sausage, put pieces of fresh sausage in little links? Absolutely. When I cook it, I add 1 stick of Jimmy Dean breakfast sausage. I've heard people do that, Kim. I'm not crazy about that sage taste in it, but some people like that and it works. That's why I always say, you have to do you. Whatever flavor you like. And the reason I keep stirring because I don't want that pasta to stick together. Another reason why you need these fats in it. If you have very lean meat, and you don't have the fats in here, that pasta tend to bind together. So you need them fats, you need that oil so that they can like not stick together. Just like when you cook rice and you cook pasta on the stove, I always add some butter or a little olive oil. If not, it all sticks together. And after I finish boiling it, sometime the pasta, I'll take and just add a little bit more and just stir it around. And they give that coating on there so that when you go to serve it, as it cools off, if you don't do that, it's going to bind together and you're going to pick up these big clumps. Now we're just going to let this boil for a little while. And every now and then, you see me take a piece out. And I'll test this. Aye. And I knew it was going to be, but it's not ready yet. I like that quote. You have to do you. You need it to be. I tell people all the time, especially when they come here and do my cooking classes. You know, I'm showing you my way. I can show you many ways. I can make variety of ways to do it and confuse the hell out of you. But at the end of the day, you have to do you. You know your flavors. You know what you like. But this gives you a foundation. Once you get your foundation, build from there. And look, every time I cook a pastalaya or jambalaya, my crazy mind still wants to try different things. It's just who I am. It's just who I am. And I love the experiment. Some people really get they'll get super anxiety by doing this, but I love the experiment with dishes to see, well, I wonder if this would be good. Like I'm doing tonight. I wonder if that ground beef to be good. I know it's going to be good, but I've never done it before. And I'm not scared to come to put this in around the world and say, hey, let's try it tonight. I always wash my pasta and get the starches off the pasta and let it drain good. It never sticks. Okay, that's one way. The only reason, Joy, I don't wash my rice or my pasta. And the only reason I don't, we used to get the big bags of rice to cook, to get ready to cook lunches, cook jambalaya, just cooking rice for to serve lunches with beans or whatever. And they would have in there, if you wash the rice, you're washing away some of the nutrients. I'm trusting the factory. But most people will wash their rice or pasta. I'm just one of those that don't. My stuff like beans, sometimes I wash it, sometimes I don't. But I'll dump them. A lot of times we used to do and get them. We used to cook 25 pounds at a time. You would dump them out in the colander and you go through them because sometimes you have hard pieces. Sometimes you didn't even have little rocks in it. I made spaghetti the other day with smoked sausage, the big Andouille sausage, jambalaya pork. Man, it had to be good, brother. And there's one thing I always tell people, what's it going to taste like? Oh, he said, Brian, so what's it going to taste like? You've got pasta. No matter what pasta I put in there, it's going to, my penne pasta and your penne pasta is going to taste the same. All my seasonings, onions, bell pepper, celery, we all the same. Water, stock, could be a little variety. But the meat you put in, just like a gumbo's all flour and water. The meats that you're going to put in, if you want to put some cheap stuff in, then you're going to have a cheap gumbo. Or like we used to say in my computer programming days, garbage in, garbage out. If you feed it garbage, you're going to get garbage. So, I tell people all the time, if you're going to go through the trouble of cooking this dish, then spend the money to buy something that you're really going to like. Buy high quality meat. Because the more you buy, the more ingredients you see on that sausage, the more fillers and binders and names of stuff you can't pronounce. That's all going to change the flavor of your dish. But at the end of the day, you got to do you. Drop you some fresh sausage in it. Cut into 1 inch so that they like little meatballs. I was just talking about, George. Somebody asked me that. Could you put some fresh sausage in it? Absolutely. I probably put this little links about this big. And I fry them down. I fry them down on the side so that I can make a, get that little grimy on them. They'll do a little pot frying. It's always going to make it better. Okay, this is going to be getting close. Oh yeah, almost there. Now, if I had regular pasta, long pasta, and if you're going to use the long one, I use number 4 or number 3. You start getting the number 2, number 1 vermicelli, you start getting into bow tie pasta. You have to be careful. These, now you're starting to lose that girth in them, or the bow tie pasta is very tender. Don't try to follow this recipe. It's probably not going to work. It's probably going to come out mushy. So those are the ones you have to be really careful with, okay? Okay, you see we still have a lot of water in here. I'll drop it down in the pot. Jambalaya, I'd still be trying to cook this water out. That pastalaya still has a lot of water in it. And that's what I want. So believe it or not, this pasta is going to suck up a lot of this water, okay? I add a little bit more stock to it and get ready to lower the fire and actually cook this. Okay. I'm going to bring this down to a simmer. And now my big pots, I'll go ahead and turn this pot off, okay? And we'll set a timer. I'm gonna start off with 10 minutes. So I'll turn this pot off. Let's say my big pots or my cast iron pot. Once I get to this point, I'll cover it and turn it off. You see a lot of people, and I was taught to cook jambalaya this way, or pastalaya, where they'll take the pot and put a plate underneath. So you don't have a direct heat under the pot. I just learned to do it where maybe I had to add a little extra water, cook it, boil it out a little longer, cover it, and turn the fire off. Let it sit for a half hour. It always came out good, but what it did for me, especially when you're cooking for profit, when you're cooking in a restaurant, you're always thinking about to get every grain out that pot. I would never burn the bottom. So when I served it, every grain I put in that pot was actually served as a lunch. So I got maybe 2 or 3 extra lunches out of it because I didn't keep that little fire underneath. When you're cooking for profit, you get very, very creative. Oh, Jason, you're never late, brother. All right. So we're going to let this go 10 minutes. We should be able to eat it and get an idea. I may have to taste it and then let it go another 5 minutes. Usually I'll let it set 15, but I know I can eat it after 10. Now, go back to what kind of pasta you want to use. What's your favorite? Those little eggshell pastas, I love them. The big ones, the small ones, I call them seashell pasta. Look at little seashells you can put by your ear and listen to them. I love those. When you're cooking like at a festival or something, those go really well because why? They're easy to serve. Those strings, when you serve in pastalaya, are one big pain. Because you're trying to put them in a container and the strings are hanging out the container. It's a pain. So I would use either penne pasta or the rotini. And those would work real well. I had a friend of mine one year, he cooked the pastalaya and he used the little shells. Worked better than those two because you could portion it out better and just go ahead and put it in the pot. Had a great flavor to it. Fantastic flavor. So it's all little ideas. Some people like to make pastalaya. They always ask me about bow tie pasta because bow tie is a pretty little pasta, and you see it out there. And a lot of people you see it at weddings, they'll make these little cream dishes with them. If you're going to cook a pastalaya with bow tie pasta, you have to be careful because I tried a couple of times and all I got was just mush. It just fell apart. So I'm not good at it and I don't even want to try. 40-pound jambalaya I can cook. In my sleep, same thing my dad taught me many years ago. Never burn a grain. So y'all do the same thing, Joey. That's it. Don't burn a grain of rice. But like I said, everybody, you have to. Most people, however they were taught, this is what they're going to do. They're not going to change, and they're very precise. I've been around people, and they go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and they will not budge. Me, my mind can't work that way. My mind is always too busy. But I know that the main steps, I know what I'm going to do. So like I said, whatever pasta you want to use, go ahead. The meat, that's up to you. Use your favorite. Get creative when you use these dishes. If you don't like as much seasoning, you don't like as much bell pepper, you don't like as much onions, that's okay. That's a thing that's personal to you. If you want to put, some people will put like cream of onion, cream of mushroom, all that. If that's what you like, I don't really care for it because number one, you start losing. Here's the two things: salt content that can get away from you. Even though you say, "Oh, it's low sodium," still has some. You have to really be used to it. Number two is they all have a water content. So that water you add with those canned goods, you have to make up when you add your water. It can put it where you have actually too much liquid in it and mess up your pastalaya or your jambalaya. So you have to take all this to account. So I say like this: you making it too complicated. A lot of times I would go around. I don't do this anymore. But I go around people that were cooking jambalaya and they'd walk around. They know I have my restaurant and they know I cook a lot of jambalaya. And they would get real nervous when they come around. Man, am I doing it right when I'm doing it right? But one thing I always noticed, two things. They had a lot of canned goods. You know, you're getting away from actually putting some natural flavor in your food, but if that's what you like, that's fine. The other thing was they're using parboiled rice, what I call Uncle Ben's rice. Remember, it's parboiled. It's partially cooked. It's already popped. So you don't have any challenge. But what it's not going to do, it's not going to suck up as much seasoning, as much flavor as that regular rice. Easy? Yes. I can teach anybody how to cook it with parboiled rice. It's easy. I can teach my little 5-year-old grandson. He can figure this out. He can do it. But when you cook it with that regular rice, and I do that jasmine rice, and it's from the raw, it's going to suck up the flavor of that water, that flavor of that stock that you built. It's going to suck it up. And it's going to suck up every bit of that seasoning. That's going to be the flavor of your jambalaya. And if you don't do that, if you use that parboiled rice, you're missing out on a lot of flavor. No parboiled rice ever. You got that right, Joey. I've judged a lot of jambalaya contests. Parboiled rice jambalaya sticks out like a sore thumb. Soon as I see it, depending what mood I'm in, I'm docking one, maybe two points off of your score. So it's really my score. You're not, unless none of the regular rice is good, you're not going to win. But a lot of judges can't tell that. It looks pretty. It looks perfect. It's a perfect looking jambalaya. Guess what? If you don't know any better, they have the advantage. Mahatma long grain, all I use. But Joy, that's what I used to use. One day, just for the hell of it, try jasmine rice, long grain. There's something about it. Number one, it's more forgiving, and it has a little nutty flavor to it. And it just changed it. I've turned a lot of people onto it, but the Mahatma long grain or extra long grain was the number one rice I used when I was making my jambalaya all the time. Comes in a nice 20-pound bag. So those are all little hints that I tried. And Joy, I used the jasmine rice because that's grown in Southwest Louisiana. Grown in out in the Southwest. It's a Louisiana grown rice. It took 20 years of experimentation at LSU to get this jasmine rice right. So they do a really good job. And the way I look at it, we support the local rice farmers. Just like I support my local cane farmers, I put a little sugar in everything. You got to support the local people because they're like us. They go to work every day here in South Louisiana. So I'm trying to think of anything else that can help you along the way. I'll keep this out. We got 2 minutes left. Or it can help you along the way when you're learning how to cook a jambalaya. A lot of people in this area know how to cook a jambalaya. When I went into business, it wasn't until 5 years after I was in business that I actually learned how to cook a jambalaya. I had no idea, so I didn't cook it. Guy by the name of Buggy Lamont, a lot of people know him in this parish. He's helped a lot of people, catered a lot of people. He was a very salesman. So he knew all the little small business people, took care of us. but he's the one that taught me how to cook jambalaya. And the one thing he taught me was don't rush because the people can't eat until the food is done. Because I was always in a hurry. Now I had that pot flying. He would stop me. Nobody can eat till the food is done. Take your time. Don't rush it. You're going to screw it up. One of the things I can tell you, take your time. Jason, as long as I'm happy and my family is happy, then it's all, I'm not worried about judges. There you go, Jason. Tammy, rice can soak up flavor. I always thought of the rice as a filler. Damn it, when you cook a jambalaya, the way I cook my jambalaya, like this pasta right here is soaking up flavor. Yes, it will soak up the flavor and it won't be bland anymore. So absolutely. It's not just a filler. It's absolutely sucking up that flavor. Kim, I use Mahatma long grain, tried jasmine rice, and I liked it better. Every single grain was popped. That's what I'm talking about, Kim. And Joy, that's something to think about. Every grain popped, and it was very, very consistent. The reason I got away from, and even with the jasmine, but all the other rices in the market, extra long grain, 4% broke, all that at the top of the line. It was, at some reason, it got very inconsistent. And that inconsistency, I'd have hard grains, mushy grains, perfect grains, all in the same pot. That made no sense at all. The whole top would come out where it was actually mushy. The whole top would come out where it was hard. You couldn't even eat the top. I'd have to scrape it off. And then, like I said, with my user Mahatma, I had no problem with it. Okay, here we go. Let me bring it down in the pot. And you can see down here, and Tammy was asking about that flavor. Look, see down here, that gravy? Y'all know I got to dip in that pot. Woo! And you stir this around. And I'm going to let this set. I'm going to fix my bowl right now. Now, one of the things I like to do, I like to go ahead, since I'm going to eat this basically throughout the week, I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this with a little juice in it. And that's on purpose. Okay. Now, if I was serving this like right now, I'm cooking this to serve for lunches. No, it's not going to be, it's going to be wet, but it's not going to, I want the pastalaya to suck up all them juices. Darren, I heard Parish rice is good. Never tried it. Okay. Parish rice. I learned something this week. And this was the lady that was from Lafayette, from the group that we was in. She was from the Lafayette area. She said that the Parish rice is lower on the glycemic index. So it's better for people who are like diabetic. She was diabetic. She goes, it's better for me that I eat the Parish rice. And she said she really liked it. I've never tried it because I never run across it because I'm never looking for it. So one day if I ever run across it, I am going to use it. But I have heard a lot of good about it, Darren. But that's a rice that's lower in the glycemic index, which is very important to people, especially if they're pre-diabetic or diabetic. Oh. Man. Okay, I'm going to bring the camera down on here. You see, got this thing nice and juicy. This is the way I like my pastalaya. Because it's still going to suck up. And like Joy said, it's going to suck. When you're going to put this thing in the fridge, you think about it, it's contracting. It's going to suck up all this flavor. It's going to be a whole lot better tomorrow. I don't find the same thing for jambalaya. What jambalaya tastes like today, it's going to taste like tomorrow. This pastalaya is still going to suck up seasoning tonight. Ooh, hell yeah. Now, the pasta is al dente. It's got a little bite to it. That's the way I like mine. You may like yours where it's a little mushy. It's very soft. Then you do you. When I cooked it in my plate lunches, that's how I had to cook it. It had to be, this wouldn't have rolled. This wouldn't have gone. And through my research, What I found is when you have the pasta and it's al dente, it's actually going to fill you faster than if you just let it mush. That's why rice, I can eat all the rice. I do not fill up on rice. It just blows right through me. This does it. This will fill you. If it's al dente, it's going to fill you better. You're right about that. Better tomorrow, right? Better believe it, brother. Oh, man. Y'all, I'm going to tell y'all right now. I am not sorry I put this ground deer in there. Pastalaya. What, a little smoked meat? With some spud man, high quality deer sausage. This stuff is kicking. It's still cooking. It's hot, so it's in the pot. So Joy, you're right. This is still cooking. So I'll just let it, I set my timer for 10 minutes. I would normally let this go. So when I go off the air, I got about another, by the time I sign off, I have another 5 minutes. So letting it set another 10 minutes so it can soak in there for 20 minutes. I just took it out, so we went out here all night. And I couldn't wait to eat it. I couldn't wait to try this. Dude, this stuff is good. Y'all, that's it. Pastalaya, be creative. Do it your way. If you want to put some ground meat in it, just use some high quality stuff. Because if you you're going to put ground meat in it, if you have to go buy it in the store, try some, like a 92% lean. And look, I found some, I think it was at Rouse, Black Angus ground meat, 92% green. I made some lean. Man, this stuff was good. And when I made hamburger steaks with it, it hardly threw any grease. And it made a very, very good hamburger steak. So, because if you put an 80-20 mixture, you're going to have grease floating on the top of this pastalaya. That's what you like, that's fine. Trying to keep the dish a little healthier, so it doesn't do that, okay? High protein and awesome taste. Michael, you got that, brother. So y'all, thank y'all for tuning in tonight. This has been a long one, but damn, it's good. Good night, Joy. And we'll see y'all. Unless I get a catering job, or I'm on papa duty, I'm going to see y'all next week. Have any suggestions, send them over. I thought about this just last night, laying in bed, going to sleep. I go, oh, I want to try this. So we're going to talk to y'all next week. Love y'all. God bless y'all, and y'all take care.
Don't get me wrong, I love my life. These concrete walls, these city lights. What I'm about to say, it won't make no sense, but I gotta get it off my chest.